The cost of living remains unacceptably high, leaving poor and low-income families on a financial precipice. This forces many South Africans to rely on loans, even opting for unregulated lenders. Educating people about financial literacy has become critical. Financial services provider EasyPay Everywhere has come up with solutions to assist those who are struggling. EasyPay Everywhere Executive Head of Sales and Distribution, Simphiwe Phakathi, joins me now to discuss this further. Thank you very much, Simphiwe, for your time this morning. Let's start with, households that are headed by women. Usually those are the households that suffer a bit more when it comes to savings and money that is supposed to sustain them after the female has retired, or if they are, if they experience something that will have them, impaired to work, etc. How do you deal with the fact that there's this huge gap of disparities between men and women in finance in South Africa?
Firstly, morning, Masego, and morning to our viewers. So I think that's a reality. I mean, when you look at the stats, they are really staggering. I mean, stats says almost 43% of South African households are headed by women, which is really a staggering figure when it comes to also financial inclusion. It goes even further when you look at social grants, where at least 70% of the recipients are female. I mean, that's a big number, 70%. Yeah. And most of these are single mothers who are looking after their children and supporting the rest of their family. So EasyPay Everywhere has then obviously seen this challenge and said, how do we also play a part in becoming part of the solution? And it's a number of things. The first one is probably playing in the financial literacy space, so that we can educate people on what are your options when you have these limited means, which could be limited income, and then obviously coming up with financial services or products that really solve yourself as an underserved individual who are often excluded from the formal financial services industry. So there's two additional things that we do. So the products that we've then come up with really are focusing on solving for their transactional needs. How do I receive my funds in a transactional account that's affordable? So we've got really a low-cost transactional account where the clients can then receive their funds, and then they can also have saved through this transactional account. Additionally, then we then offer them value-added services, which they can access, such as funeral cover for their times of need, as well as lending, which is regulated, as opposed to being exposed to unregulated lenders who then obviously take advantage of these clients.
Absolutely, and we know that the two-pot system is coming into effect quite soon, so a lot of people will probably be excited about withdrawing from their provident fund, etc. Would you advise that? Would you advise that probably people just make sure, like you say, financial literacy, they know what they're going to do with that money and that it's worth withdrawing it?
So I think we've got to tread carefully around that, because there's limited funds, and especially if it's your retirement funds, you've got to try and make sure that they go as far as possible in supporting and sustaining your livelihood. That, I think, will largely serve the more formal sector of our economy. It will still leave a large part of our country, or our consumers who don't have a retirement saving, largely excluded. So those we still need to solve for. And that's the space we play in. And the biggest, I think, barrier for most of these clients who are underserved, which is why we solve for financial literacy, is how to understand financial service options. That's why you've got to be able to engage with them in a language that they understand. So language is a big factor. When you're talking to Abo Okoko, some of them want to speak to somebody who speaks the same language. They want to be able to get a pamphlet that's in their language that says, these are my options. This is how much I can save for back to school, for abantwana bami or abantwana bamantwana bami, So language is a big factor. so that clients can understand the financial options that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to speak about the unregulated lenders. In South Africa, for instance, we would say abomashonisa in some aspects, but it's not a South African phenomenon. You find it everywhere, right? And it's because of desperation. People need money in order to survive. And if the banks won't give you a loan and you're desperate to do what you need to do financially in your household, you will fall prey to these unregulated lenders. How do we mitigate the existence of this? Because they are harbored by the fact that the market creates that industry.
So I think there's a number of factors. First, clients, it's got to be led from a consumer perspective. We can preach all we want, but the clients have to have a better understanding of what are my options besides going to those unregulated lenders. So there are a number of options. The first is make access to information easily available. Social media has become a big channel and medium, and that's one of the channels we're using quite a bit, like Facebook, so that we can actually start to educate our clients. There's even data-free versions of that. That's why we've leveraged that channel quite a bit. And then secondly, leverage technology. USSD is a big channel where clients can dial star 120 star 3737 hash in the comfort of their home. So gone are the days where clients must leave their home to go access financial services. When they do, they bump into these financial services, these unregulated players. So as financial service organization, we've got to bring the information to them or bring the services to them so that we can try to curb the exposure to these unregulated players. So I think it's a dual play where consumers need to know their options, and regulated financial services providers like ourselves are doing this, waking up early in the morning to preach this gospel to them, to say there are other options. We are there. We offer loans to you, and you can access them by walking into any of our branches, which are in the townships, in the communities which you live, or access digital solutions, or access information on Facebook. And when you know better, you can try, hopefully, limit the impact of those unregulated players.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, because, financial literacy doesn't work when you approach umashonisa at the time. You're also desperate. So you have no time to negotiate and bring in the law, etc. But thank you for the advice. I hope the viewers heard you quite loud and clearly. Easy Pay Everywhere, Executive Head of Sales and Distribution, Simphiwe Phakathi. All right. Still to come is your sports. Of course, Sports Minister Gayton McKenzie is backing the Blitz